Our speakers this afternoon is Judy M. of Connecticut and Joey A. from Las Vegas. And it's now time to, all right. It is now my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Judy M.
I wore my high heels too. Hi, I'm Judy and I'm an addict. Hi everybody. I first want to thank the committee for asking me to speak. It's quite a privilege. I was here last year at the Las Vegas convention and I enjoyed myself, and I plan to keep coming back. I also want to thank just the area people who've been just greeting and giving hugs and introducing themselves. I really feel welcomed. I don't feel like an outsider or somebody far, far away, even though I am. I'm from Connecticut, and I'm just really, really grateful to be here. I'm having a great time. I've been here a whole lot of times, but most of them I really don't remember. As a matter of fact, the last time I was here in my active addiction, I didn't even know I was here until a woman who came in recovery, that was my friend for 30 years, she came into these rooms 3 years ago. That I am very grateful for. And her second meeting, she came in with a photograph of me here. And I'm like, oh my God, I was in Las Vegas. Thank God she couldn't give me too many more details because she wasn't in any better shape, but she's been an old friend that has helped me very much with a verbal fourth step, because I really have a lot of brown areas in my active addiction that I don't remember, or I remember in God's time, but it's been a very slow process for me. You know, I do remember that and I'm not going to go from 12 on, so don't think that. I do remember from like about 12 years old, you know, my first bag was a bag of glue. And I abused the hell out of airplane glue. And I went to any lengths. I even had to start going out of town to get the glue because I was so afraid that these store people in town would know me. So I'd have to make this whole circle all around the surrounding towns because I was needing to buy this glue for the bag. And I did the same thing, you know, that I did at the end of my addiction. I, you know, thought maybe people knew I was using it. Maybe they saw the glue all over my jeans. Maybe I smelled and reeked of glue. You know, maybe they saw it all over my hands. You know, from there it just went on. It was just different sizes of bags, but it was always one bag, you know, to another. I'm very grateful that one of those bags didn't kill me, because that's where I was headed. I was being a very, very destructive person, and I wanted to die, and I never thought of life clean. If I did, I would have taken better care of myself, because I carry a few little critters crawling around in my blood that I wish weren't there. But, you know, that's what happens when you don't care what you put in your body. And I didn't. I was very destructive. I'm very grateful that I lived to the day I dialed the 1-800 helpline and asked for help. I just told them what was going on, and they asked, you know what your problem is and how we can help. And I said, you can help me by putting me away somewhere where there are no men. I'd really like it to be on the West Coast. It would be really nice if no men even worked there. It would be really nice if my bedroom overlooked the ocean. It would be really nice if it was like a really long-term program. And they said, hold on. And they got back on the phone, and they said, we have the perfect place for you. And lo and behold, about 4 or 5 hours later, my mom and dad, crying hysterically, were taking me to the airport, putting me on a plane for California. And I So this is California is where I got clean. It was a women's treatment center. There were no men. There was one man. He was the cleaning man. He was big and black, and we all loved the hell out of him. And everyone else was women. They were all in recovery. And my bedroom overlooked the ocean, and recovery began there for me. Every time I acted out, the therapist would say, "Go back to your room and write on step 1. I said, fuck these people. I'd go back to my room and I'd be writing, never knowing that this is what I would be hearing from my sponsor 12 years later, you know? I mean, what we heard at the beginning, well, it still works for us today. And that's true. I came back 45 days after being in treatment. The requirement to graduate was that we had to share a 5th step in 45 days. Believe me, it's not the way that the rest of my story is, but they had these little guides, and we did this, and the woman I shared it with had 6 months clean, and it felt great. It was like the first onion, the skin off the onion. I mean, it was really, really, really great. I did that, got my little graduation. They put me on an airplane. I got off the airplane, and I am not trying to be funny. I got off the airplane on step 8. And I went to meetings telling everybody that I was on step 8, and lo and behold, the forgotten 6 and 7. I think it was just a couple of meetings that I had attended. I went immediately. I was scared to death. I was very, very, very excited. I always thought if I ever got the chance to speak that I wanted someday to have my sneakers on and just keep jumping up and down saying, "We never have to use again, we never have to use again," because that's how I felt when I got out. You mean I never have to use again? I was so excited. And I went to, I think it was my second Narcotics Anonymous meeting after getting home from treatment. And this woman, I went in there, nobody would talk to me. This 60-year-old guy was talking to me. And it was like, what is this, And I walked in, did the meeting, and ran out to my car as fast as I can. And this woman was like going right for my car, and I said, "Oh shit, what does this woman want from me?" And I rolled up my window and locked the door and put it in reverse and tried to go, and she banged on my window, and I said yes, and she said, "Hi, my name is Karen. How you doing? Can we switch phone numbers or something like that?" And we did, and this is the woman that still sponsors me today, and that I am eternally grateful for. I am extremely, extremely lucky that I wasted no time in between. I got this wonderful woman. It seemed like she had it from the get-go, and we started the journey of recovery together. And she helped me in working the steps and trying to live them. She was there for me. She never judges me. I'm just very, very grateful for the sponsor I have, and I only wish that for everybody, and even my sponsees, that I can be the kind of sponsor that my sponsor is to me. She, and I'm not. I fall short. I fall short with sponsorship. I have, in order for me to talk about, gratitude, other than just being grateful that I get up every day and not think about having to get high to get through the day, or having remorse, or not having anyone that cared about me. I always felt that if I died or overdosed or went off a cliff, that it would take weeks and weeks before anybody realized I was even missing, before they'd start looking for me. I had burned every bridge, including my family. I hurt them. I put them through a lot of shame. I really don't think that had I not done my process and worked my steps with my sponsor, would I even be able to come up here and share the gratitude or my recovery with you, because I would just be so guilt-ridden that I wouldn't be able to talk about it. But you know, my sponsor helped me with little things like telling me how to work the first 3 steps to stop smoking when I had about 2 or 3 years. I'm really grateful for that. You know, I'm not grateful for the pounds, but I'm grateful that I don't have to carry cigarettes around and they don't tell me when I have to go outside. I'm free. I'm free from that, and it's really a big deal once you realize how much they told you what to do. But you know, I then got into a relationship very early on in recovery. She asked me not to. See, she didn't fire my ass because I didn't listen to her. She gave me a suggestion that you really shouldn't, because it might cause some insanity in your life that you're just not ready to deal with. Because I like to get angry, react, and run, you know. And plus, the poor man that I decided to hit up on was a newcomer, and he only had 5 months clean, and my sponsor was mortified, and she kept telling me, don't leave a path of destruction, please don't destroy. And I said, oh, I won't. I have nothing but the best in mind for this man. And I had a year, you know, I had a year and a half clean. He had 5 months clean. I picked his sponsor. I picked his step meeting. I picked his friends. I remember we went to the Southern California convention, was our first little convention together. And we'd lay in bed and I'd tell him all about the steps and how they work. I'm not kidding, he'll tell you this. Thank God he had maybe, I don't know really when it was, maybe he had a year clean, and he said, look, you know, you have enough trouble with your own recovery. I think it's a really good idea if you just leave me alone. And, you know, thank God he did that, because at the end of August, we'll be celebrating 10 years of a wonderful, wonderful marriage. And, you know, we didn't do it alone, that's for sure. I mean, we did it with the help of, you know, our sponsors and the people in the room, and naturally the steps of Narcotics Anonymous is what gets us through our relationships, for sure. My sponsor told me that it was very important to have, of course, build a very strong relationship with her, a trust where we can talk honestly and not be afraid. You know, I keep forgetting that she's not perfect. She has to remind me of that. And, you know, it's okay. She reminds us very much that we need girlfriends. And I'm very, very grateful that I do have girlfriends in my life. One particularly that's very dear to me, that's up here, sitting up here. She razzed me for the last hour, so I told her, like, right in the middle of my story, I was going to turn it over to her, but she's my traveling partner, and we just do everything together. And when I can't get a hold of my sponsor because of the long distance, we're there for each other. We really are, at least I think so, we're a good team. I'm very, very grateful. You know, you can never have too many girlfriends. I can't. You used to do that 10th step. You know, did you talk to an addict today? Yeah, my husband. You know, that doesn't count. You know what I mean? Did you talk to an addict? Yeah, the one and only sponsee I have called me. You know, I don't think that counts. You know what I mean? The list has to, and that's really tough. I mean, I really had a hard time, you know, picking up the phone and trying to have a conversation with somebody that you thought deep down inside you really didn't want to have that conversation with them. And then you just keep doing it vigilantly, you know, and before you know it, you know, you're hanging out together. And I try to do that with my sponsees, talk to them a real lot, get them real comfortable so that they'll keep calling. About 4.5 years ago, I believe that if I didn't have a working knowledge of the 12 steps, and it's really ironic in my recovery that the process that I was in with the steps was like I was always where I was supposed to be. I know that we hate hearing that you're right where you're supposed to be. Well, it always seemed like I was right where I was supposed to be with my steps. You know, they never came one moment too soon. You know, I was working on my 9th step, and I was having a really, really hard time making an amends to my folks. And I was Daddy's little girl, and he just wouldn't hear of it. Every time I tried to make a verbal amends to him and sit down and rub his feet, you know, I wasn't like this. You know, my father and I and my mother and I mean, I never touched them or put their arm around them like we do to each other, you know. How come we didn't do that to our folks all our lives? You know, how come we sit on the other side of the room? I don't know, for me, that's the way it was, you know. And thank God in recovery I learned I can hug my folks, too. I can sit next to them on the couch and put my arm around my mother or father. There isn't anything wrong with that. My God, I do it with strangers in Narcotics Anonymous. Why wouldn't I do it with my folks who put up with me, especially through my active addiction? You know, finding me in the living room floor with one foot out the door still in the morning, you know, saying, what are we going to do with this girl? You know, what's the right thing to do? And I put them through a lot of embarrassment. You know, they tried to get away, and they got a trailer in the Berkshires. What do? I got a trailer right next to them in the Berkshires, blackout every week, and I went up there totally humiliated, and they couldn't get away from me, you know. And I really had some cleaning up to do, and they just weren't letting me do it. I'd call my sponsor, and I'd say, you know, I made another attempt. I prayed. The time was right. Everything was picture perfect, and it didn't happen. You know, my father would say, you're clean today. That's all that matters. Stop right there. You know, and it just wasn't enough. And my dad became ill with emphysema and heart trouble. And one day in the summer of '92, he said, you know, if I could have one last wish before I die, it would be to go down to Florida to a new park model that they had just purchased the winter before. He said, I know I've only got one winter left. And he said, I know I can't fly. They won't let me fly. I'm very sick. He's in a wheelchair. I would just love if I can go down to Florida. And I thought, oh my God, this is God-given. He's never asked me for a dime. This is truly, and this thing came over me going, this was not his idea. This was not my idea. This is really a God-given opportunity. And I told him it would be a privilege for me to go and bring him down there. And at this time, he was on injections of morphine around the clock in his stomach. And my mother and I had to do that. He had several oxygen tanks and compressors, and I thought, how are we ever going to do this? My mother's tinier than I am. And we did it. We had it took us a long time to get down there. We had to make a lot of stops. We had to make a lot of special arrangements at hotels, but we did it. And I didn't lose my patience with them. Everything was beautiful. You know, I rubbed my father's feet. I mean, stuff I never did. I got the opportunity to do that. And I got him down to Florida, and I got him all settled in, and lo and behold, it was his last winter. You know, I am just so, I mean, I don't know if it's the gratitude of what the steps have allowed me to do that makes me keep coming, because there's just one great opportunity after another that comes in this fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. It just blows me away. On March 8th, we got a phone call to come down right away. That we wouldn't make it there. We talked to the nurses. They said, you know, he's home. He's not coherent. You'll just be here for your mother. I'm sure by the time you get here, he won't be here, but you need to come down for your mother. And my sister and I took the first flight down with my husband, and I just charged into the house, and there's my father sitting there going, "Would you like a beer and a piece of chicken?" He always wanted. I made him perfectly. I taught him in early recovery that things were my choices. Otherwise, we'd go to restaurants. Oh, she doesn't drink, She end up telling everybody. So it's like, it's okay. I can say, no, I can't do that. It doesn't agree with me. It's okay. So he asked me if I wanted a chicken and a beer. And again, I believe it was God-given. And I am so grateful. I had 3 wonderful days with him. Again, always had my arm around him, rubbing his feet, cooking him chicken soup. And on the 3rd day, he just was sitting there watching this huge storm on TV that was happening in Connecticut. And he just said, "I feel real funny." And then he just died right there, And I just, playing on the fact of being Daddy's little girl, I just never thought I would be ever be able to survive the loss of my father, ever. And, my sponsor offered to fly out to Florida to be with me. She offered to meet me in Connecticut. She offered, she was there. She was there. I mean, when people say they can't get a hold of their sponsor, I don't know. I mean, nobody better say that to me, because, I can find my sponsor. I mean, maybe there might be an hour that, before she but if I really need her, she's there, I thought, I experienced it all. I had a real sick nephew with asthma that was given the last rites all the time, and I'd constantly have to pray and ask God, to keep us all safe. But I always felt like, I truly felt, and I shared in meetings, that I was real afraid, I hate anybody to leave, I really do. It really hurts, but we finally got my mom home and settled back in Connecticut. And 5 months after that, my mother was very young and very. She went to every single Pigs in Space party that there was in Connecticut. She didn't miss one. She didn't miss one NA birthday of mine. She'd come to Vegas anytime. We've been here several times together. We traveled together. Thank God, I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to spend so much personal time with her, because 5 months after my dad died, she got this little frog in her throat, and 6 weeks later she was dead. And I thought, for every negative or every painful situation, if we could just hook on something that we can be grateful for, the journey might not be so tough. But I thought, no, there's just absolutely no way that I can hook on anything to be grateful for, now not being without a mom and a dad. And one thing that I am grateful for is that most of the people, and it's just a coincidence, most of the people that I'm the closest with in Narcotics Anonymous are without their mother and father, and it's just a very special thing for me, Those 5 weeks that my mother was sick, she also immediately had to have a tube put in her stomach and morphine. It was the most rapid growing cancer, anaplastic thyroid cancer. We went to pick up a prescription, and the pharmacist gave us a maple syrup jug of morphine. And I'm thinking, oh no, not again, And I was just completely separated from it. I was completely separated from it. I call my sponsor 100 times a day, and I take care of my mother. We never put her in the hospital. I would never have been able to do that. Never. Never, if I didn't have Narcotics Anonymous, the sponsor I have, and the steps. I put a lot of my recovery on my sponsor. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but I do because I feel extremely lucky. A lot of times, even if she hadn't experienced them first, which it was very strange because the time that my father was supposed to be spending his last winter in Florida, Karen lost her dad, and it was just so unexpected that it would happen to her before it happened to me. But, even if she hadn't, I know that she would have been able to guide me through the pain and the loss. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't think of them, but I don't think sad anymore. I think good. I think about her coming to the NA pig roast. I think about her celebrating my NA birthdays. Every time I have an NA birthday, I don't wish they were here. I'm just grateful that when they were here, that they celebrated with them, that I got clean, before, the steps have put me on such an ironic journey. I'm also on my 9th step list was a facility that I worked with in active addiction. When I was 13 years old, I helped a lunatic escape from the hospital. And it was the first time my father ever chased me around the house to hit me. I was never hit. People say they can tell that. I've never been a hit child, but I've never been hit. But this was one time he was after my ass, and my house went in a circle, and he just kept spinning around after me while there were cops swarming my house and circling it and barricading it, and I had him stashed away in a shed in my backyard. This was also the same hospital that I worked at. That was my last job before I got clean, and they actually escorted me out the door, and they told me, your services were good, but you spent too much time in the bathroom. Now, I don't know what I was, I don't really know. I know I must have been not dependable. I'm not quite sure why they escorted me out the door. Lo and behold, this job comes to me about a year and a couple of months, a year and a month, and it's from this same place. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. They may need somebody like me, but. So I figured, what the hell, I'll go on the interview, And I went on the interview, and during the interview it says, have you ever worked here before? I'm thinking, oh my God, yes. So I said to them, I really don't know on what terms, whether I gave you notice. I kind of steered them that way. Whether I gave you a 2-week notice, a month notice, whether I was let go, I really don't remember. It was so long ago. And they said, we didn't have computers back then, you're lucky. I said, oh, thank God. And I feel that the extra work that I do for this hospital, over and above 40 hours. I put my heart and soul into my job because I feel that this has been an opportunity for me. This facility was on my list to make amends to for the things I did and the things I stole from there. And, the gratitude that I've gotten just from working the 12 steps has just been absolutely incredible, especially the 10th and 11th step. The 11th step, if I didn't have the 11th step when I lost my mom and dad, I wouldn't have that conscious contact that I was so familiar with using. And I could remember when I really wasn't sure if if my higher power was going to be powerful enough to get me through the funeral, the holding her in bed in her last hours. Was there going to be a power greater than myself to get me through those hours and the time afterwards? And I truly feel that now my higher power is like the most powerful thing in the world. You know, powerfuler than my disease, than my stinking thinking, than anything. As long as I have that conscious contact, and I have to vigilantly work on that. I have a job at work that if I don't take God with me, I only live 3 minutes away. We don't have these freeways, these 20-lane freeways like you guys all have, but it takes me like 3 minutes to get to work. If I don't have a conscious contact, do my meditation reading, you know, just ask God to help me be the best person I could be today. If I don't do that, in that 3 minutes it takes me to get to work, I've got a knot in my stomach and I'm a bitch the minute I walk through the door. It's just incredible. And my whole day is shot. Even if I try to make up, you know, I pray or go in the bathroom or, you know, really try to get, it just, you know, I need that conscious contact in the morning to remind me that this hospital is not named after me. You know, they have survived for the last 2 weeks without me, so I mustn't be like that important, and it's going to be okay. You know, I just need to just relax, you know. I've been trying to do a lot of laughing. I've done more laughing in the week I've been out here than I have in months. And, you know, sometimes I just feel like I'm so morbidly serious. I remember my sponsor giving me direction when I had 9 months clean. Judy, you got to have more fun. You got to laugh. You got to go on a hot air balloon ride and this and that. And, you know, it still holds true today. You know, I have to have more fun. There's too many people that I've lost in my life, including friends, to know that life is too short, you know, and that we should be as nice as we can to people and to our family, and even though it could be difficult, and you know, just to be the best person I could be and enjoy life. I think that's my sponsor's motto: enjoy life. I am very grateful for Narcotics Anonymous, for the 12 steps, to be able to do this 12th step and give back a little bit that I have. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Judy, for sharing. And now I'd like to introduce our second speaker, Joey A.
I'm an addict. My name's Joey. Thank God I'm clean today. Thank God for Narcotics Anonymous. I want to thank the East Las Vegas Convention Committee for asking me to share. It's truly a privilege, you know. And you know, I always wonder when I hear a speaker on a tape what he looks like. I listen to a lot of tapes. So if anybody ever listens to this tape that doesn't know me, I'm 6'5" and 230 pounds with blonde hair, because I was always very curious, because, you know, I heard a speaker in Laughlin, and I said, is that what he looked like? And, you know, so I just have to lighten up a little, because I'm real nervous, and, you know, I've been telling people I'm not nervous, but it's more scared, you know, because I know I have a loving God in my life, and I got that here in Narcotics Anonymous, and I know He's going to take care of me, no matter what. And it was, you know, before I came up here, I did that praying thing with my sponsor, and if any of you ever done that before you spoke, it's real neat, but it's real weird, you know, and you say, maybe it's going to work better with him with you, you know, God's going to really get in there, and, you know, I was walking around saying, you know, your will, God, not mine, and let me give you your message. I want to be your vehicle today. What I know about gratitude, it's a word of action, and when I'm grateful, it's just a feeling I have. I learned that here in Narcotics Anonymous, because I'm probably the most ungrateful person there ever was in active addiction. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my drug story, because when I was new, I had to hear it. I had to hear what you had to say, so I knew there was hope for me. And I too sniffed glue at 14. And everybody knew, because I kept on falling over with the bag, and it was all over me. And but I didn't think anybody knew it, but it was all over my face. And I went from that bag until I was 39 years old, and I found myself doing methadone, taking people's spit backs, smoking crack, and doing a lot of heroin. And there was a lot in between that 25 years, and I emotionally didn't grow up. I'm the only boy in my family. I have 2 older sisters, and I was always treated really special. From the time I can remember, everybody made a fuss over me, and it was really cool. And I got a lot of nice presents, and I was treated real special, and that stopped somewhere around when I was 8 years old, and I was addicted to like fantasy. I always wanted to be in somebody else's family. I would look outside of me and always thought that you had a better life than me. I grew up in the like 50s and 60s where TV was just coming out and the screens weren't that big, and I watched Father Knows Best and the Donna Reed Show and Ozzie and Harriet, and I always wanted my family to be like that. And I thought there was something wrong with my family because they weren't like that, and no one explained that it was only TV. I believed it. And I didn't come from a real abusive family, physically, emotionally. I came from a dysfunctional family. See, before I got here, I just thought they were all screwed up, and I learned the word dysfunctional in recovery. My father worked nights. I had a mother that gave me everything I ever wanted. I knew what instant gratification was. I didn't know what the word no meant. And if the word no came up, I would have a tantrum. And I'd like to say that doesn't happen anymore, but it does. And I'm working on it. I believe it's progress, not perfection. See, I want to come up here and sound really good because my sponsor's here, my grand sponsor's here, and like, wow, Joey has it really going on, and because a lot of times I really think I do. And that's only because I put a lot of work into my recovery, because I'm so grateful to have the chance to stay clean another day. And I learned it here. And when you're speaking about your husband and everything, like, you should meet my wife. Yeah, well, what's going on in this fellowship, And if you're new or coming back from a relapse, you have sponsors and you take direction. And I believe in direction, not suggestion, because I manipulate the word suggestion really well. And I've learned to take direction here. And so I got clean when I was 39 years old, and I was emotionally about 12, and I was still acting like I was 6. And I moved to Las Vegas with 4.5 months clean, and I got a sponsor, because that's what you people told me to do. I got clean in New York City. And I got clean in the kind of place where they told me to shut up, sit down, and don't say anything. And if you got to go to the bathroom, then you just wait, because you might miss something you need to hear. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's what I needed, and that's how I got clean, and I stayed clean since then. I was introduced to Narcotics Anonymous in 1988. So I had 4 years of reservations and a lot of institutions and a couple of psych hospitals. And the biggest thing I remember is hoping that I was crazy and that I wasn't an addict, because I couldn't really have the concept that I had a disease, that I was an addict. But I found myself in a psych hospital in New York City making moccasins and showing them to my parents and thinking it was okay, and gluing these little planes together. And see, I had to buy the model to get the glue until I found a place to go cop cases of glue. So I had a lot of unbuilt models when I was a kid. But I think about that, like, it must have been so great just copping glue without the model, without paying the extra buck. But when you're saying that stuff came up in my head. I was talking to George in the wheelchair, and he comes from Germany, and the first thing I thought of, he says, I've been on this wheelchair a long time, and I said, what a way to smuggle things in a wheelchair. The first thought, and I know I have this disease. And my great-grand sponsor said right before we came in here, never say the word never, because as soon as you say it, you're setting yourself up. How simple could that be, Well, I needed to hear that, because I like to say never. But I got clean. I moved to Las Vegas. Everybody told me when I moved out of New York, you're going to get loaded there, and what's your motive for leaving? And I moved, and I wanted to stay clean. I was done. And I learned how to surrender to this disease, and I got a sponsor, and he started taking me through the steps, and the sponsor I had allowed me to have the grand sponsor I have today. It's kind of weird how things work out, because I have that same grand sponsor today, but I went through the steps, and I learned about spiritual principles, because I didn't know anything about them. I learned about self-will and the relationship with my sponsor. I learned about being in a relationship with a woman and not being that little kid to always want to get your way. And I'm truly grateful that she had enough patience when I was that new not to let me go before I can grow up. I'm grateful for that. Ooh, I get, the tissues are here. When Fred brought them, I said, don't even bring them near me, But You know, I'm not a crybaby yet in recovery, you know, and I'm sure I'm going to get there when I'm supposed to. But, yeah, did I set myself up and say you know yet? Because I know I do that, but I'm trying to, you know, I got clean here, and I got here, and I was really scared of getting loaded again because I was afraid of dying. I don't know how you got here, and it doesn't make a difference. That's how I got here. I'm not that real cool addict. I took my parents to cop with me. See, because I figured if I got busted, there's a chance they wouldn't put me in jail with my mother and father. You know, I didn't do stick-ups. You know, I'd get my sister, who was a school teacher, to take me to go to the cop spot and wait online with me, hoping that she was a city worker, and if the cops came, they would help me. You know, I once heard someone say, I knew I was really bad when I started robbing my family. Well, I started out robbing my family first because I didn't think they would put me in jail. See, that's the kind of person. You have to know who I am, because I come up here and I laugh and I'm real funny, but I'm an addict. You know, and as soon as I say that word, you got to know I'm a liar, a cheat, and a thief. You know, and I'm going to hurt you any way I can. You know, even if the consequences, you know, to the point of where you might have to die from that action. I don't care. You know, and that's not who I am today. And, you know, growing up, I have like things that happened to me, and I'm not good at chronological order because I don't remember a lot. At 8 years old, I got a box of crayons. They were Crayola crayons, and there was 8 of them. And when I got them, I wasn't happy or grateful for having them, and I stole money from my mother to get the box of 64 with the sharpener. See, and I knew there was a problem. I didn't know there was a problem then until I heard about this disease. And then I remember Matchboxes coming out, and I like that, Mommy. Okay, I'll buy you one. But I was focused on the showcase that it came in. I wanted all of them. See, it's funny to you, but see, I grew up like that if I had that, it would fix me. See, I didn't know I was fixing anything. I thought that was okay and that was normal. So for a long time, I lived like that. Like I said, I picked up when I was 14. I had a very crazy thing happen in my life when I was 16 years old. I was in a car accident where I killed somebody, you know, a child. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And I still don't know how to deal with it. You know, I've started peeling that onion, you know, with my sponsor, and working through the steps and through the 6th and 7th, looking at my part, and, you know, and the 8th and 9th. But at the time, I guess maybe, you know, I hate to say this because I believe I got here exactly when I was supposed to, what I was supposed to. I think I should have talked to somebody about that. Instead of like the family, you know, it's like it never happened. Okay, you know, get back in the car and start driving, you know, because otherwise you'll never drive again. And that was like the extent of it, you know, and it went away real fast. And as I was growing up, I always had like that, there's a burning feeling in me that there's something wrong, you know, and I'm not owning up to something I did. You know, and thank God in my first 4th step, I got to own up to my part in that and look at my, you know, take responsibility for that stuff. Gratitude a lot. I was going to look up all the words in the Just for Today and the basic text and all that stuff, you know, like have some really good things and maybe highlight them. And my sponsor says, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. And I don't, because I'm standing here and I'm grateful. I'm letting you know who I am. You know, because I'm that grateful that if you're going to judge or, you know, say, wow, do you see how many times you said, you know, that's okay too. You know, because that's who I am. And I got people in this room that really love me. You know, well, I came here and I started working steps, and I'm working them the same way, almost the same way I'm working them today, because I had the same grant sponsor that was giving it to my sponsor. And, you know, I was really grateful for Narcotics Anonymous. So what happened was I started wanting to do things for Narcotics Anonymous because I didn't know how to pay back Narcotics Anonymous. I used to say, see, I was very spoiled growing up, and I was spoiled with money, cars, money, property, and prestige. You know, I really liked those things, and my parents thought that stuff would fix me, even in active addiction. So I don't say they kept me out there. Me and my wife have this story. You know, I ran away from home when I was 39, and my wife ran away when she was 17, and we both ended up in the same room of Narcotics Anonymous. And I believe that, you know, my parents enabled me, her parents threw her out, but we ended up in the same place, and that's about loving God. That I got here right when I was supposed to, because I forget that sometimes. I sometimes almost get that finger out and saying, if they didn't do, you know, and I have to remember it's about me. You know, I got a sponsor in this program, like I'm saying, and this is really hard for me to talk about because I was real grateful, and I went through the steps with this sponsor, and it took me a couple of years to go through the steps, and I got a chance to, you know, go through the 6th and 7th step about change, and separating the men from the boys. I know what these defects are. What are you going to do about them now? And I'm grateful that the people that know me loved me through those 2 steps, because the more I try to control a defect, the more my life would get unmanageable. And I'm grateful for the friends I have in Narcotics Anonymous, because I'm not the easiest person in Narcotics Anonymous, and I'm learning that my sponsor teaches me that I'm a real beautiful person, and I'm real loving and caring, and I gotta spread that out. I'm the kind of person that if you're not taking my direction, I get mad at you, because I want you to take it, because if you take it and you do it, there's a good chance I'm not gonna have to be on the phone with you for an hour because you've gotten a jackpot for not taking it. It's a real selfish motive, but I go there, and I got sponsees in Narcotics. Well, I'm going through the steps with my sponsor, and I started getting sponsees, and I started giving him direction, like my sponsor was giving me direction, and it was really neat. Getting my first sponsee, my second sponsee, and I started getting pretty overwhelmed because people were asking me to sponsor them, and I was coming up on 4 years clean, 4.5 years clean, and I'm looking. I got all these sponsees, and I'm starting to feel real empty inside. See, because I had a sponsor that changed sponsors, and see, I believe if you're a sponsor in Narcotics Anonymous, you better be an example of a sponsor here. You got to go to meetings, because I can't tell my sponsees to go to meetings or call me if I'm not willing to do that with my sponsor. I believe that stuff, and if that's my opinion, I think I'm right, I really do, because I'm here today, and I think it's right, but it's my opinion, but I really feel really strongly about that. Well, see, what happened for me was, I started feeling like the sponsor and the sponsee-sponsor relationship with my sponsor, and I started losing this fire I had for Narcotics Anonymous. Like when I got here, I would get off work at 5:45 and be at a 7 o'clock meeting every day after going home, eating dinner. So you can imagine the mayhem in my life. Driving from downtown Las Vegas up to northwest Las Vegas and back to get to a meeting, and I'd go every night, and every time I got a chance, because I was afraid, and there were things that you people were talking about that I thought I could never acquire, like humility and pride, and self-esteem. I had no idea what those things were. I lost that stuff a long time ago. I always tell people I didn't come in here to stop using, I came in to stop hurting, because what's true for me is the drugs stopped working long time ago, a real long time ago, and I was just trying to I was scared to stop, afraid of not using, when at the end of the road when there's no other choice. What happened for me, because most of my gratitude comes lately. See, I'm real grateful for the sponsees I have in my life today, and I show that by being a sponsor to them. I pick up the phone when I don't want to. I'm real grateful for Narcotics Anonymous. I show my gratitude by showing up at a meeting and sharing my experience, strength, and hope. See, what happened for me was I started looking around, and I stopped seeing people with time coming to meetings. And I started becoming the person with time there, and it got real scary. See, because I know what my disease is like. It's real, it tells me I don't have it sometimes. It tricks me. I know I have it, but it tells me I don't, and I say, well, maybe I do have some. I used to think I had lead poisoning. I was brought up in New York in the public school system, and they had asbestos pipes and lead paint. And I thought maybe it was an addiction. Maybe I got lead poisoning somehow, and I ate paint as I was a kid, and I got this brain disorder. Well, it was the asbestos pipes, and that's the problem. But the reality comes back. I'm an addict. You know what? You think it's funny. That really goes on in my head, So laugh away, I have some serious thought about that sometime. What happened for me was, I can't tell you how grateful I am to be here and how grateful I am to Narcotics Anonymous. I got to tell you that I wouldn't even be up here if it wasn't for Narcotics Anonymous. I can tell you about the 2 cars I own. They're both paid off. I can tell you I have a nice swimming pool, and I got a beautiful house. I can tell you all that stuff. I show my gratitude by taking care of that house and cleaning that pool every day and washing those cars. That's what I learned here. If I really have gratitude for something, I take care of it and I nurture it. I'm grateful for the relationship I have with my wife. And I show that, but by not abusing her, by taking care and cherishing my relationship with her. See, I don't know how to do that stuff. I have to learn how to do it, and I don't do it perfect today. I had this instant last week. See, I have a sponsor today that when I talk to him on the phone, it's not about direction. He likes to ask that question, what defect is that? And we play a guessing game, and I go through 3 that I think I'm in, and he gives me the right one. So, God, that's so scary sometimes, but I had this thing with my wife. I called her up from work. I said, it'd be really nice if you vacuumed tonight, you know? That's all I said. It would be really nice if you vacuumed. No big deal. So I have this thing where I call my wife up every night from work on my lunch break, and she's sounding real weird, you know? And I said, what's up? Nothing. You know, you don't sound right. You know, you okay? And she goes, why do you ask me to vacuum the house? And it was like she went through this whole thing, and it was like I felt so right that I was right to ask her to do that. I was so right. How could I be wrong to ask my wife to vacuum the house? I mowed the lawn. We got our chores and stuff. And, and I called my sponsor, and I'm waiting for him to say, like, yeah, Joey, you could expect her to do it. And he goes, why? Was it bothering you? Was it bothering her? And I said, well, it was bothering me. And he goes, then why didn't you vacuum? See, because I'm also lazy. And see that little story? That's the gratitude I got because, I heard my sponsor when he told me that. And he said, did you get all the lines nice and straight when you came home? Like, what? And I said, yeah, I really like it like that. Like, I thought he was kidding with me, but he knew that it was like an obsession and control. He must vacuum a lot himself. I don't know. But, like, I'm so grateful I could tell you that story and you could relate to it, because I know somebody's asking someone to vacuum at home. But, and if it ain't, it's washing the dishes. But what happened for me was I was getting to that point in my recovery with 4.5 years clean where I was losing that gratitude I had for being clean, because I wasn't being sponsored anymore. What happened was somewhere along the line, my relationship with my sponsor started slowing down, and I would call him and he wouldn't call back, and I would complain to people. You know how we do it before we change sponsors. We start bad-mouthing that guy, and you get other people to jump on the bandwagon like, yeah, could you believe he does that stuff? But, I did that stuff, and I wasn't getting what I needed, but I was afraid to go anywhere else to get it. And I don't know if you've ever been in that spot, but out of the blue one day, my grant sponsor today called me up and he said, how you doing? And I said, I'm doing great. I'm sitting out in the sun. It's, October or something, and I'm sitting in the sunny side of the house, enjoying like a fall day, and I'm crazy. I don't know if I should leave Narcotics Anonymous. God knows, who am I going to get for a sponsor, because, people are starting to look at me as a role model now. And who's going to be my role model? And it was getting real scary. I got to that place where, God, I just want to be the addict, and I just want to come in here and you say to me, don't pick up no matter what, and that's all you have to do. And it's like I got like this voice in NA when I got here, and people heard me. I always said I didn't want to belong to a club that allowed me as a member, and I'm honored to belong to Narcotics Anonymous, and that it allows me to be a member. But what happened for me was that I was getting real ungrateful. I know it was affecting my work and my relationship with my wife, because I was getting a little crazy. I don't think it happens all in one day, but you know how that disease sneaks up with you, you get a little bit more arrogant, and you get a little bit more cocky, and you go to a meeting and someone cheers and not him again. You get up, you go have a cigarette. All those things were going through my head, and that's what was happening for me. And what I did, I started taking my sponsor's inventory real big time. And I got to the point where I said, either I'm going to change sponsors, or I'm going to die, or I'm going to leave here. I didn't know about getting loaded, but I was going to leave NA. And this is the thing that saved my life. So my grant sponsor calls me up out of the blue, says, how you doing, And I started telling him about my dilemma, because it's real easy to talk to him, For some reason, it feels real safe, and I hope that my sponsees get to that point where it's real safe to talk to me, and I don't give them that look like, you shouldn't be doing that, because it felt real safe, when I said it, and I said, I'm having a real problem, and I need a sponsor, and, and he said, well, so basically you're sponsorless. I said, no, I'm not, He goes, you're sponsoring yourself, Joey. And I used to go to meetings and say, if you're sponsoring yourself, you got an asshole for a sponsor. I did it for 3 years. I said it. Every meeting, if you're sponsoring yourself, you got an asshole for a sponsor. And he said to me, so you're sponsoring yourself, Joey? And I go, no, what are you talking? I'm not sponsoring myself. You know who's my sponsor? He goes, you've been getting any direction? And I said, no. He goes, you've been talking to your sponsor? I said, no. And he goes, well, you're sponsoring yourself. And I realized what I was saying all those years I became the asshole. And at the time it was good, because I threw out there that I wanted a sponsor. But I didn't know if anybody was going to be good enough in Las Vegas. So I took a trip with my wife to go visit her sponsor. And it was still a dilemma, because I had a lot of Johan was talking about something last night that, I grew up with a lot of people of the East Las Vegas area. In my recovery, I went through my steps. They get to watch me grow in 6 and 7. They got to see it big time, because I was on committees with them, and God, did they get to see me grow. And what happened was that I used to say, I got to say it. Gee, I like what you got, but I don't got it, so what you got is wrong. And I didn't like what you had because it was real cliquish, and I didn't feel part of it. But it's what I wanted. I wanted that love. I wanted that sponsorship family where everybody had a sponsor. We knew who his sponsor was, who my brothers were, and if you don't understand that stuff yet, it's okay. You're not supposed to, who your cousins are. That kind of stuff, you want to know. When I first heard that, it's like, yeah, well, I'm not here for that. I'm here to stop using. And you don't know how important that stuff is to me today. And I got to speak to some people that I didn't really know and that I already had on the cross ready to crucify because I thought that it was their doing what was going on in Las Vegas. And I got to go there and say, you know what, I'm really skeptical to talk to you because I thought maybe they'd be prejudiced. And what they did was they showed me a lot of love. See, I went there like this. And they stood there with their arms open, and they told me they understood, and I was asking advice from people that I probably judged real badly before I knew them. I don't know if any of you ever judged anybody before you really got to know them, but they turn out to be really nice. I think that we should all What happened for me was that I got to meet them, I got to listen, and you know what happened? That little light in my eye came back. You know that little fire you have for NA that day? You go to your first meeting and they hug you and they love you? I got that same feeling again. And it felt so good because I'm so in love with Narcotics Anonymous. And I didn't want to go anywhere and I knew there was hope again, But I don't want to go there. Okay, I could go there. It's all right. So what happened was so my dilemma was now I really love these people and I can get one of these people to be my sponsor, And they said, you can get the same thing back in Las Vegas. What do you mean? And I knew I could. But see, I had to feel real comfortable. If I was going to get a sponsor, it's like if you had to pick parents, don't you want to pick your grandparents and your great-grandparents? If you had the choice, wouldn't you all want to do it? I would. I just didn't have the choice, and I had the choice. And I said, I want to be part of this. Because I saw the gratitude they had for Narcotics Anonymous. See, for a while, I started seeing people with a lot of time not going to meetings. So I was taking their inventory. You could bet on it, and I hope I never walked that path, But what happened was that I got that spark back, and I see people with double-digit time still in service and still talking about steps, and no bullshit conversations around the table. Recovery conversations. You all go out to you ever go out for dinner? You go out with the people that talk the sports and this stuff, and you can sit at that table that people talking about their fourth step and you're not working steps. And I like to sit with those people that are talking about what step they're on in the recovery process. That's what I learned here. Stick with the winners. And I know if you're clean today, you're a winner, but if you're working this program, you're a winner. I didn't come in here just to get clean because, man, I'd be a miserable person. I just told you I'm a spoiled little brat. Could you imagine what it'd be like being clean? The tantrums I would have up here, but so what happened was I came back to Las Vegas and I had 3 choices in my head, because I had it planned out, and it's so funny how my head works, you can tell I still have the disease, but I thought you'd all miss it and thought I was well, but I had this plan, and I wanted to ask this person to be my sponsor, and it's funny because I used to get mad at him in convention committee meetings because he was real arrogant, I thought, and controlling, and I would yell at him, we'd have these arguments with 3 hours sleep, and I don't know, for me it seems like everybody that ever works with me would turn out to be great, but I asked him to sponsor me, and I told him what was going on, and he said I had to write. Before I even said yes, he said, what do you want from a sponsor? And what are you willing to do? And I was willing to do anything to get direction. See, I go to meetings and I hear people say, I got the greatest sponsor. He doesn't tell me to do anything, It's like, if that's not a cry for fucking help, I don't know what is, But, I like direction. Whether I take it or not, it's on me, My sponsor's doing his job, but... So he told me to write it down, and I wrote down what I wanted from a sponsor, and I thought it was a trick. I thought that everything I wrote down, that I wanted out of a sponsor, I had to be to my sponsees. Like, I was thinking, like, why is he making me do this, you know? You know, plus I was willing to do that for my sponsees too. You know, I'm always willing to do that. And I wrote it down, and he said it'd be an honor and privilege to sponsor me. You know, and I was saying to myself, you know, God, I had almost 5 years, and I wanted him to think I had it together, like I wasn't wasting time for 4.5 years. That, you know, I had some spiritual principles behind me, and you know, I had a little bit. You know, I didn't want him to think he was getting like a brand new newcomer again. You know, it was going to be like a lot of work. You know, and my head was telling me that, and it took me a long time to get real honest. You know, I was like, it's a little at a time I let him get to know me. Like, I'm still real sick, and you know, he knows it. Believe me, he really knows it. But it was like that ego thing got in the way a lot. You know, and he taught me that was okay. And what happened was I learned, and I got so much. I'm so grateful for this. You know, Jeff, I got to tell you that you let me know you were human. And it made it easy for me to be human and be who I was, because you let me know it was okay to be me. You know, because I thought with 4.5 years, I had to have some kind of, this 4.5 years worth of recovery. And I don't know how you measure that, but after you do the steps once, you know, is it that much or is it that much, you know? But I thought I had to have that much, and he didn't make me feel like I had this much. He said, we're going to start all over, we're going to look at this like this, and I'm not going to go through all the steps again. You know, I know the spiritual principles. He's teaching me how to put out practical application in my life with the spiritual principles. That's what I have to do. I really try to practice them. When I say, thank God I'm clean today, I show my gratitude by trying to do God's work. That's living in the spiritual principle for me. I don't know how to do that. It's against my grain to be kind and loving. You know, we were talking about gratitude, and like, I don't know, a month and a half ago, I'm at work. I work in a casino, and they're not doing it right, you know. The whole place. And I know I could run this place better. You know, he only has 3 major casinos, but I'm walking around there real ungrateful. I'm the kind of person where when you ask me where the bathroom is and it's right behind you, I give you that look like, you're going to kill yourself for this. Turn around, you know. I was getting like that. And you don't do that with customers. You don't. It's like, it's right in front of you. Where's the cashier? You know, what do you... And I was getting real ungrateful, and it was coming out in my defects, you know, and I was getting to the point where I was telling line employees like me what they should be doing, and, you know, I'd be calling them all over to fix machines and stuff. Come on, I'd go, Joey, who are you? You know, well, I've been doing this a long time, you know, listen to me. And I got to that point one day where I wanted to get the keys and give them to my boss and say, I'll be back when you people start doing it right. Because I was so ungrateful for that job. See, I applied for a different job in the casino, and I was looking up here at this job. It was perfect, day shift, Saturdays and Sundays off. That's a big deal in Las Vegas. And I was so busy looking at that I stopped being grateful for what I had. See, I didn't know that on my own. My sponsor told me that. See, because my work would have been miserable. The funny thing is, they nominated me for Employee of the Month 3 weeks later. It was like I was shocked, you know, because I knew I had this shit. I knew what my attitude was. You know, you ever know, like, my disease is up here, but I'm not acting out. But I was like, you know, customers would ask me for change. I felt like saying, you know what, take your quarter and just leave the building. You know, your coin jam, too bad, you know. Sorry, I lost $10 in the validator. We were going to get it sooner or later. So, oh, you wanted to play for that $10? Oh, and that's who I am. And what I'm learning is to be nice to people. I'm learning how to really be nice to people, and I learned that through my sponsor. Because when I do stuff like that, he says, "What defect is that, Joey?" And so I go, "Self-righteousness, arrogance, cockiness. Yeah. How about self-centeredness? Oh, okay, that one too. See, because if we play this guessing game long enough, I'm going to get to work on these defects." And I believe that, and I'm a lot better than I was. And you know, I'm a little funny because I'm a little nervous. But like I told you, I'm that scared little kid, you know, that wanted 64 crayons. You know, I'm still that kid. So, you know, if you're new or coming back from a relapse, welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. Please do not judge Narcotics Anonymous by one speaker or one meeting. You know, we all have a lot of opinions here, but there's no compromising the steps and the traditions. It is a must that you get a sponsor in Narcotics Anonymous. They should change that in the book. It is a must. It made it easy for me to come to the meeting for the first time, and instead of telling you, I need a friend because I'm scared, you put a word on it where I could just say, I need a sponsor because I was scared and I needed a friend. That's all I got.
Please help me thank our speakers, Judy M. and Joey A., for sharing their experience tonight.